Is hoarding halos in Royale High a problem? Well, according to Twitter, there is a new term for people who have too many halos, and they're calling them halo hoarders. And I want to talk about this because this is a conversation I've seen a lot recently, and I'm actually going to go over one specific Twitter thread that I thought was very interesting, and I wonder what your guys' thoughts are on it. Keep in mind I am going to be blurring everybody's usernames, and that's just because nobody needs to get hate or harassment. But if this stuff is posted publicly, people are allowed to comment on it just like they're allowed to share their opinions. I'm sure Royale High Twitter won't like this, guys. I'm just trying to get video content and I see like 30 posts about me. I'm like, guys, come on now. Come on, leave me alone. Now, to be fair, I understand you don't want anybody talking negatively about your favorite game. I get that, but at the same time, I'm not saying negative things that are untruthful. If someone has truthful statements or opinions to share and it's negative, I'm sorry that upsets you. Scroll past the video. I'm not just going to sit here and glaze a game mindlessly. I'm allowed to have, meaningful discussions and examine stuff on Twitter. So with that out of the way, getting straight into it, I came across this tweet actually a little bit ago, and I had this in my content folder for like a week now, and I just haven't had a chance to talk about it, so we're gonna read it. The original tweet was posted by a creator, and it reads, "I love Royale High, but once you become rich, you no longer feel like playing, as you have everything and could get everything. At this point, I'm waiting for my kid to grow up and play this game so that I can have a new here for my billion Halos diamonds." And they attach a screenshot showing that they currently own 41 out of 41 Halos, and they have 200 total Halos. Some people in the comments are confused as to what this means. It means that out of the 41 different kinds of Halos you can get, they own every single one, and they have 200 total Halos. Now, they didn't emphasize which Halos they have dupes of, but you could tell by the counts here that they probably have about 4-ish on average of the same Halo, and for every single Halo out of the 41 different Halos they have. Keep in mind that I think, to be more realistic, they probably would have more dupes of the lower tier Halos and less of the highest tier, like the Witching Hour Halo, or, the Everfriend Halo, but you never know. So anyways, somebody was not happy to see this, and I understand why. To be honest, in my opinion, this does come across a little braggy, but, that's just what people do. And this person responded, "I generally don't understand this level of greed. I'm sorry, but you are actually ruining the economy and preventing active players over level 3000 from getting a Halo at a reasonable price by holding so many of them in a single inventory. It inflates the prices because they are more rare." Which, factually, like if you're just like bringing this down to the very bare bones, this is correct. If somebody owns like 80% of the total stock of an item, they can basically control how much that item is worth. And it does create kind of an unfair advantage. But example, which we'll get into in a second here, there are some Halos where there are thousands and thousands and thousands of copies, and I can guarantee somebody having like 4 of it is not going to completely change the value system in the entire game. Now, this comment, which was replied to under the post, reads, "There's 20,000 plus copies of Spring 20, Solar Rex, etc. I promise you you'll live." And so, if you take what this person's saying and we do the math, let's be generous, that maybe they have 5 of these Spring 2020 Halo. Okay? And we do the math, that equates to a total of 0.00025% of the total inventory, or the total amount of Halos that are available. And keep in mind, there's constantly Halos being given out through the fountain by wishing. So there isn't necessarily a fixed amount of the Halos unless they've been discontinued. But I think it's really important to put things into context, because I understand it's annoying if someone has a ton of Halos, but if you do the math, that's like not even it's such a tiny sliver of the total inventory or amount of Halos that are available in the game, and I think it's a little bit unfair to say that this person single-handedly is ruining the value system in the game. Now, the original poster replied to that and said, "If you don't see the problem here, all I see is a self-call out. Literally, no one likes the exceedingly rich hoarders who complain about how the game isn't fun anymore and then proceed to never do giveaways." And this is something that I've seen a lot, and I do agree with a portion of this. It is annoying when people, go on Twitter and they flaunt their wealth. I get it. It's annoying. They're like, "Oh guys, I'm so rich. Like, what am I gonna do with my money?" It's the same thing with real life flexers, people who drive Lamborghinis and have wads of cash and are like, "Oh my god, I'm so bored. I could buy anything." And to be fair, I think the original post does come across like a little flexy, like, "Oh, look at all these Halos I have." And do they have to post it? No. But if you didn't like it, you could just moved on. You didn't have to make a whole Twitter thread about it. But what they're saying here that I don't agree with is at the end of their sentence, they say, "and proceed to never do giveaways." And this is a main comment I've seen in the Halo hoarding kind of genre of commentary, is people saying that if you have a ton of Halos, you are obligated to do giveaways. And personally, I don't agree with that. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people who own Halos probably traded for them. Like, let's be for real. A lot of people who own Halos have been in the game a long time, or maybe they do art commissions and they get diamonds or Royale High items through that. I see a lot of people on Twitter doing that. Maybe they do profile pictures and get halos for it. I see people that do cross trading, which is against Roblox terms of service, but that's a way that a lot of people also get halos, is that they'll grind at a game like Adopt Me or Murder Mystery 2 and then trade items to get a halo in Royale High. There's a lot of methods for getting a Royale High halo that doesn't necessarily have to do with the Royale High economy. Example, the Royale High economy doesn't really matter if you're cross trading with Adopt Me pets, it just matters what the other person wants, which I'm not sitting here condoning cross trading, but I think it is a little bit misleading to say that like everything just relies on Royale High values, which in the game it does, but a lot of people actually get halos from cross trading, which, guys, don't do that, it's unsafe. But to be honest, I have to say that, like, it's just part of the conversation. And I do think that it's a kind of damaging sort of rhetoric to put out there to say, oh, if you're so rich, you have to give me stuff. And that was something that I personally was always really annoyed with. I think a lot of people don't realize this, but obviously I have like my childhood account and I wasn't going to make that my YouTube account. Like it's some like random embarrassing username. It's an account I've had for like years and years and years. And it was like my childhood account that I played Roblox on. And I don't really play too much on anymore because I don't want it to get banned because there's so many badges and stuff like that. But in that account, I have a ton of Royale High items. I have the Witching Hour Halo, I think I have the Solarix, I have a couple random halos and limited edition accessories and stuff like that, because I was really big into Royale High. And anytime I went to the trading hub, people would be like, oh my god, give me one of your halos. Or they'd try to give me a lowball trade, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, like I'm not really interested, or whatever. And immediately when I wouldn't give them what they wanted, they would go off on me and be like, oh my god, you're so greedy, you're ruining the game, you make the game no fun. And I understand, but I feel like a lot of the nasty conversations around this is based in jealousy. And, you know, I'm not trying to say, you'd be like, oh my god, everyone's so jealous of me. No, but I think, why would you have something negative to say about somebody's inventory if you weren't inherently somewhat jealous? Like you're saying, oh, I'm so mad that you have all these items, why don't you give me one? That's, to me, textbook jealousy. And I get it, it's hard to not be jealous when someone has a lot of items, but I can guarantee you this person probably worked really hard, and just because they worked hard doesn't mean they should be giving free handouts to random people that they don't know. And if they want to do a giveaway, they should do that. Now, the person replied by saying, girl, he's saying that if you have a goal, like trying to get rich and actually did it, it's no fun no more, as there's nothing else to do unless you have more ambitious goal than that. Which I think is why it's so important for games to have consistent updates, because obviously the rich players aren't going to keep playing the game and spending more money on the game and time in the game if there's no updates. And the original poster replies saying, okay, that's only an issue if you don't have creative goals. Like with making outfits in dorms, the possibilities are quite literally endless. It wouldn't get boring. Anyways, I looked back at the account and he seems to be supporting a few artists with a wealth, which is good. This is such a common theme on Twitter, is that people will get so wound up about something really small and then like make a post about it, like just as soon as they hear about it, and then realize like an hour later, oh, wait a second. And that's what I feel like is kind of like toxic about this, is that this person basically made like a hate post getting mad at this other person for owning halos, saying that they're so greedy and that they don't give anything away, and then like literally they contradict themselves like a couple messages later. This was like, these responses were posted within like the same hour of the actual post being made. So like this is within like 60 minutes of them putting out this like inflammatory post of them saying, oh, they actually do support artists, which I think what they mean by that is that they hire this person that has all these halos, hires somebody and gives them halos as payment, which is obviously very nice and generous. I just think it's weird to make a hate post and then not do your due diligence and like actually make sure what you're saying is truthful. And I find that's a very common theme on Twitter. Anybody hating on my videos be like, oh my god, she's such a clickbaiter. Watch the video. Hello? It's not, it's the truth. Now this next comment reads, I gave up almost all my inventory, no fun with it honestly. I won 2 Everfriend Halos and 1 Reef Halo, been playing ever since the early days, level 11,000 plus, was very busy. Side note, I cannot stand the Reef Halo. I don't know, I'm sorry, I can't get behind it, I just can't. I seriously hate trading, and ever since they removed diamonds per level up, I just don't even want to log on anymore. And so I think what this person did is obviously very generous. They decided they didn't want to play the game anymore, so they gave away their halos. Because I think what people also don't recognize is that a lot of the halos, although there may be some in circulation, I would assume there's probably like a decent chunk that are in like abandoned accounts from players who decide not to play Royale High anymore. And so you can't ban people who are active, who have halos, when people are leaving the game, due mainly to the lack of updates and, you know, player feedback being taken into account. Like, I think that's more of a Royale High sort of thing you gotta address, not the players themselves. This comment reads, yeah, I don't understand owning more than 1 copy of each halo. You can only wear 1 at each time. This, guys, I feel like people don't really understand what traders are. People who trade will own tons of copies of the same item because they want to be able to trade them for other items. And so it makes sense to have multiple so that when you trade one, you aren't completely out of that item and you can have multiple. I feel like owning multiple of the same item shouldn't be a crime. I think that's a kind of weird thing to criticize, but people are entitled to their opinions. Someone wrote, "This is so out of touch," which I don't know if they are referencing like the original post or the quote tweet. It's kind of unclear. This person says, "For real, give me one of them." This guy says, "Man, this is absolutely insane. Maybe if you sell them later, if they ever get broke, I don't know." Which, side note, a lot of people who are rich in Royale High and who are maybe aged out of the game, a lot of them will end up selling their halos on other platforms like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, or like random online selling platforms like Etsy, where they will actually sell their items for real life money. And that's how some people actually make their living, which it's against Roblox terms of service, but it's not uncommon. And I think that, people shouldn't just jump to the assumption that someone scammed to get their halos or isn't deserving of their halos. I feel like that's kind of unfair, because at the end of the day, a lot of people at one point had to work for a halo and other people had to get that halo somehow. And I also saw the rhetoric in this comment section that this person must have scammed or that they must have gotten these dishonestly. I don't know why the concept of some people just being really good at profit trading and being really into it and spending a lot of time in the game, especially with this person being such a high level and having so many halos. If it was someone with like the bare minimum, like level 100, right, and they have like all the halos, then I'd be a little bit skeptical, think maybe they did something. But I don't think that you should punish players who've worked hard at the game and spent so many hours trading for those halos, because my god, just from even my own trading that I can remember, I literally have like PTSD from being in the trading hub because people in there are very unreasonable and some are just like asking for enormous overpays for their items. And so I feel like it's like unfair, again, to say like this person isn't deserving of their items when they probably had to deal with really difficult people for hours upon hours upon hours. And them having high value items isn't like a slight towards you. But it also doesn't mean that you're entitled to their stuff for free just because they have a lot of them. That was always a comment I got. I used to collect, what was it, like, I don't even remember. It was this one, like these boots, like these winter skate boots or whatever. And I used to collect those. And I don't know why, I decided that was going to be my niche thing that I collected. And people would get so upset when I had more than one. Be like, "Oh, why won't you accept this under trade? You have like 5. That's not fair. Why don't you do this?" Just because someone has multiple of the same item does not mean you're entitled to any of it. Just like that person, you can work hard for your diamonds, which I understand is difficult, but you could work, you could trade, you could do commissions. There's lots of ways to get high value items in Royale High. If you can just check out Royale High Twitter, there's a lot of people, even people who aren't necessarily super, comfortable with digital art, who are making a ton off of selling profile pictures or off of selling like stuff in other games, which that's really risky. I wouldn't necessarily cross trade, but there's a lot of people, especially artists, that make a ton of money and ton of, profit in Royale High by doing commissions for Royale High players or by drawing their OCs and stuff like that. So if you are artistic at all, I think that's a really great way to actually get rich in Royale High. And there's also like a lot of giveaways that people will do, and a lot of people will actually give away halos or high value items on Twitter. You can just search Royale High giveaway and you'll find so many of them. And there's more every single day. So anyways, with that in mind, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities to get halos, and at the end of the day, if you haven't gotten one, I'm sorry, but I feel like there's, again, a ton of opportunities. You certainly will be able to at some point. I don't think it's like impossible. I understand it's difficult, and as someone who was like really young when I got my halos, obviously the value system was a bit different than it is now, especially with the toy codes and the dolls and all that being mixed into it, and now there's like this external kind of like value system where you have to spend real life money to get these certain dolls, and I get it. It's annoying, but at the end of the day, somebody being rich in Royale High is not something that they should be punished for, and it's certainly not something that you should make a call-out post about them on Twitter for, because I feel like that's kind of unfair. And again, the original post was a little bit braggy, but if you didn't like that, just scroll on. I feel like it's like 10 times better to just scroll or block somebody than to like make a whole nasty post about them, because then you just go back and forth and people comment and people disagree with you and then you look silly and then it just gives you a bad rep and makes you seem unfriendly. So I understand the frustration when people own a ton of halos, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it's fair to punish people for working hard on the game or for trying to find new methods to get halos as long as they weren't scammed. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Are Halo hoarders a bad thing in Royale High? Do you think this person was a Halo hoarder for the amount of halos they had, which was, what again, 0.00025%? If we're estimating they have 5 of the Spring Halo, they own that much of the total, quantity available. So let me know what you think about this in the comments section. Do you think if people are rich, they should be forced to give away their items? What do you think? Let me know. I'm sure some of you guys are probably really rich in Royale High, and maybe some of you guys don't have any halos, so I feel like your guys' feedback on this will be really helpful because we have a wide variety of perspectives and different rarity systems who can comment on it. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!